Let me greet you using the mother tongue languages. In Hiligaynon, maayong aga. In Maranao, mapiya, kapipita. In Bahasa Sug, assalamualaikum. In Bicol, marhay na aga. In Ilocano, maayong naimbaga bigat. In Cebuano, maayong buntag. In Zambal, magandang bayumboka. In Kapampangan, maya paabak. In Waray, maupay nga aga. Good morning! I am Dr. Josephine Figueroa from the Division of Angeles City, an Education Program Supervisor in TLE. Let me use the presentation of our Director in Bureau of Learning Delivery, Dr. Jocelyn Andaya. I am also afraid, but it's what life is all about. To face your fears, to face your anxieties, to find ways in dealing with all these things. And we have to train the children how to handle these things. Acceptance of change. This is the new world, a whole new normal. This is it. We have to live what's best as we can. And I have every confidence that we will succeed. So we are going into new normal because we are creating a brave new world. And we have to start with the children to give them courage, to give them initiative, to help them look problems realistically and continually have hope and confidence that we will overcome. So on to the Brave New World by Secretary Leonor Magtolis. Indeed, we are living in a VUCA world. VUCA means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. We can never tell our life. We can never tell if we could still wake up. Every day we are facing of challenges and we can do nothing except to accept the change. Otherwise, we cannot move on. All we have to do to live this change is to have courage, to have faith in God. And we need this in order that we can live in a new normal. And we need to influence our children, our parents, so they can succeed, they can overcome in this new challenge. And that is what we are going to do for this school year 2020-2021. So allow me to present to you our objectives for this session. Remember the word DICE. Letter D, deepen. Deepen the understanding of contextualization and localization. Letter I, identify. Identify the initiatives of DepEd and its legal basis in relation to contextualization. And letter C, cite. Cite the importance of the curriculum contextualization and localization. And letter E, explain. Explain the process of contextualization. And the table I am presenting to you is the streamlining of the K-12 curriculum into the most essential competencies. And as you look at on the table, the most learning areas that change, that was streamlined, is we have the English. From 3,120 learning competencies in the curriculum guide, we have now number in milk is 231, which is the percentage in milk is 7%. As we see here, the percentage removed in the learning competencies is 93.1. And we have here, for the TLE, we have the total learning competences that we have in the curriculum guide is 883. And the number of milk is most essential learning competencies. The number of milk is 741, and the number of percentage in milk is we have 85%, and the removed learning competencies is only 15%. So we have to change, and this is one of the changes that we are now having in this school year 2020 because of the pandemic that we are experiencing nowadays. And what's the process of identifying the milk? I'm just going to explain this so that you can relate on what we will be facing for this school year 2020-2021. Okay, so what's the process of identifying the milks? So we have the K-12 curriculum guide, and then the essential learning competencies, because before we have this essential learning competencies, and then it was streamlined into the most essential learning competencies. And how were the most essential learning competencies were identified? So these are the different characteristics of most essential learning competencies. The first one, it should be aligned in a national standard or frameworks, such as example, holistic Filipino learners with 21st century. Letter B, they connect the content to higher concepts across the content areas. Letter C, they are applicable to real life situations. Letter D, they are important for students to acquire even if the student live in a particular grade level. Letter E, they cannot expect to be ordinarily learned by students if not taught in school. So these are the different characteristics how the most essential learning competencies were identified. And most of it, the criterion that we have in the most essential learning competencies is we have the endurance. Endurance were in the competence that remains with the learners long after the test in the unit study is completed for its useful beyond the single test or unit of study. Example, we have this research skills, reading comprehension, writing, map reading, hypothesis testing. So all of the most essential learning competencies that we will be delivering for the school year 2020-2021 are the enduring learning. So this is what we are going to share for our learners. Now, before I present to you the topic, we have this category 1. The title is Kilala Namin Ito. Ayan. Kilala namin yan, I mean. Oh, look at this. We have the papaya, guayabano, saging, bayabas, atis, and langka. Of course, anybody should know this. Ayan, ang sasarap na mga yan. Okay? Second, meron kami nito. Meron kaming simbahan, meron kaming arko, meron din chip sa amin, meron din sisig. Okay? Eto pa, galing sa amin yan. Ano ba yan? We have the suha, durian, malong, and chocolate product. Amin ito. Makikita na, if you go to Bohol, makikita mo yan. Tarsier. Ayan, yung Mayon volcano. This is in Palawan. Okay? Amin ito. Wow, ang sasarap. This is, we have the lechon, kakanin, okoy, we have the batote, and then, ayan, anong klaseng rice yan? Okay? Amin din ito. Ayan, makikita natin yan. So, Paway Church, 100 Islands, our Katutubo, Dancing Lights in vegan, at yung straight na yan, and we have this, okay? Now, what do the pictures represent? What have you noticed about how the following categories are arranged? Let's say, kilala namin ito. Meron kami nito. Sa amin siya nang galing. Amin ito. And all of these questions will remain answered to your mind because has something to do with our topic. Okay, another panimulaing gawain. Sagutin natin ito. Tingnan natin kung gaano nyo nalalaman ang ating topic, curriculum, contextualization, and localization. Anong artikulo at seksyon ng 1987 ng Saligang Batas ng Pilipinas na nagsasaad na dapat isaalang-alang ang estado ng mga pangangailangan at kalagayan ng panrehiyon pansektor na dapat pagsiglahin ng lokal na pagplaplano, pagbuo ng mga patakaran at mga pamprogramang pang-edukasyon. A. Artikulo 14, Section 2. B. Artikulo 14, Section 3. C. Artikulo 14, Section 4. And letter D. Artikulo 14, Section 5. Anong tamang sagot? And the correct answer is letter D. Artikulo 14, Section 5. Pangalawa, ang Batas Republika kung saan isasalin ang mga pulisiya at prinsipyo para sa mga programa, proyekto at serbisyong binubuo na hinalaw at inalok upang tumugma sa mga pangangailangang lokal na kailangan ito bilang Batas Pamamahala Batayang Edukasyong 2001. Letter A, RA or Batas Republika 9155. Letter B, Batas Republika bilang 9515. Letter C, Batas Republika bilang 9551. Letter D, Batas Republika 1559. What's the correct answer? The correct answer is letter A. Third, ang Batas Republika na nagsasaad na ang Estado ay matatag, mapapanatili at magtataguyod ng isang ganap, sapat at mapagkakaloob ng sistema edukasyon na natutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga mamamayan, ng bansa, ng malawakang lipunan. Ito ay kilala batas na pinabuting batakayang edukasyon ng 2013. Ano kaya ito? Letter A, Batas Republika 10353. Letter B, Batas Republika bilang 10355. Letter D, Batas Republika bilang 10533. Ang letter D, Batas Republika bilang 15033. Anong tamang kasagutan? Okay. Ang tamang sagot ay letter C. Pang-apat na tanong. Ang artikulo at seksyon ng 1987 sa Ligang Batas ng Pilipinas ang nagsasaad na dapat itaguyod ng Estado ang pangangalaga, pagpapayaman at dinamikong ebolusyon ng isang pambansang kulturang Pilipino salig sa simulaing pagkakaisa, sa pagkakaiba, sa kapaligirang malaya, artistiko at intelektual na pagpapahayag. Letter A. Article 14, Section 14. Letter B. Article 14, Section 15. Letter C. Article 14, Section 16. And letter D. Article 14, Section 17. Anong tamang sagot? Letter A. Article 14, Section 14. Panglimang katanungan. Ito ay tumutukoy sa proseso ng edukasyon na nag-uugnay sa curriculum ng isang tiyak na lugar, sitwasyon, o bahagi ng aplikasyong gawaing makabuluhan at makahulugan sa mga kasanayan na pakipakinabang ng mga mag-aaral. Letter A, lokalisasyon. Letter B, contextualization. Letter C, indigenization. And letter D, imahinasyon. What's the correct answer? The correct answer is contextualization. Okay? So now we are going to have a group activity. Although this is a webinar, I know that we could not do this, but I'm going to present this to you because you will be, when we get into normal, when we get into new normal, and we can already be able to do the face-to-face training, so that you can also do the with this kind of activity. You can do this with your colleagues, or you can also do this with your learners. Okay. So the group one. If the group one, think of a particular Filipino tradition or custom which being practiced until now, you are now to present in a tableau. Okay? For the group two, is present an information promoting a local product. For the group one activity, which is the tableau, this could be that could be impossible to do in this situation wherein we could not deliver it in face-to-face. So the student, we are thinking that the student is just alone, and then so definitely the student could not present it in a tableau, or simply could he's just one, and then using the different props. Pwede rin naman gawin yan, okay? For this, for the group two, which is the present an information promoting a local product, so a learner or simply the teacher also can do this, okay? Even she's just alone, okay? So present an information product promoting a local, information promoting a local product, okay? And then for the group three, or for the third activity is that sing a local song with action song. Okay? So this, you will be promoting the products. You think of everything that is in your environment, and then you are going to promote it. Okay? And if you are in the, and for the third activity, which is you are going to sing a local song with action song. A local song with actions, okay? And this is the example of Infomercial.
Ito ang Maynila. Napakaganda, hindi ba? Parte lamang ng kabuuan ng Pilipinas at ng mundo. Dito lamang sa Maynila ay sangkatutak ng mga basura makikita. Iba't ibang kultura, estado, relihiyon, paniniwala. Iba't ibang tao na kung saan ang dami nito ay napapantayan ng basurang gabundok kung makikita. Kaya narito ang top 3 na maaari mong gawin para mapangalagaan ang natatanging kalikasan. Tip number 1. Katulad ni Weser na naghihilamos ng kanyang muka, huwag kakalimutan ang pag-off ng tubig pagkatapos ito gamitin. Ilang milyong galyon na tubig din ang nasasayang taon-taon. Kaya mabuti na lang nandyan si Tyra at in-off ang naiwang nakabukas na tubig na iniwan ni Weser. Siguraduhin naka-off ang faucet sa tuwing matatapos itong gamitin. Tip number 2. I-off ang ilaw kung hindi ito ginagamit. Tulad nito. Ngunit ito'y ginagamit, kaya nararapat lamang na buksan ang ilaw ulit. Baka may magalit. Patayin ang ilaw kung hindi ito ginagamit. Makatutulong ito sa pagbawas ng konsumpsyon ng kuryente. Tip number 3. Ang mga papel na nagamit sa opisina o eskwelahan ay maaari pang gamitin. Huwag muna ito tapunin. Kaya tama iyan. Inyong ulit pulutin. Sagipin natin ang mga puno sa pagre-recycle ng mga lumang papel.
Pangalagaan
ng kapaligiran
dahil ito ay natatanging
ng yaman.
Okay, so that is an example of informational product, but what we're trying to informational products. So those are informational, but then they are not presenting the products. But I'm just showing to you what's an informational is all about. So giving an information, but now if giving an information that now for that information is all about the environment, how we are going to take care of our environment, how we are going to conserve, let's say how you are going to recycle those papers. So these are just ways how presenting the different informations. Okay, so but it's also different when we say informational presenting a products, that presenting a product is, say, for example, in a one situation, in a one locality, they have the different what are the different products. Say, for example, they have baskets, they have their community is preparing longanisa, tocino, let's say, for those kind of product. Now the children are going to promote those products in a way that is an information, but that's an example of information, presenting a different information to the people, wherein it will be known to them that they have this kind of products in their community. Okay, so another activity is asking the learners, or if asking the learners to sing a song with an action song. To sing a song with an action song.
Carrot, carrot, cabbage, cabbage, broccoli, broccoli. 1, 2, 3. Let's chop some carrots, carrots. Na na na. Let's chop some cabbage, cabbage. Na na na. Let's chop some broccoli, broccoli. Na na na. Some vegetables for you and me. Carrot, some spinach. Spinach. Na na na. Let's chop some celery. Celery. Na na na. Some vegetables for you and me. Potato, spinach, celery. Potato, spinach, celery. Some vegetables for you and me. And we sing na na na. Na na na. And we sing na na na. Na na na. Vegetables for you, you. Vegetables for me, me. Vegetables for you and me. One more time. Vegetables for you, you. Vegetables for me, me. Vegetables for you and me. Garlic, garlic. Onion, onion. Leek, leek. 1, 2, 3. Let's chop some garlic. Garlic. Na na na. Let's chop some onions. Onions. Na na na. Let's chop some leek. Leek. Na na na. Some vegetables for you and me. Garlic, onion, leek. Garlic, onion, leek. Some vegetables for you and me. And we sing na na na. Na na na. And we sing na na na. Na na na. Vegetables for you, you. Vegetables for me, me. Vegetables for you and me. Vegetables for you, you. Vegetables for me, me. Vegetables for you and me. One more time. Vegetables for you, you. Vegetables for me, me. Vegetables for you and me.
Okay, so that is presenting the different kinds of vegetables. You know, it's easily learned by our learners when you are going to make it into, let's say, you ask them to sing, you ask them to present the infomercial or different activities. Just instead of presenting the different vegetables on the board, showing the pictures, but if you allow our learners to sing, if you allow them with activity, then the lessons, I am pretty sure that our lessons will be easily learned by our learners. And in presenting, let's say for example, the song, the choral group, which was I have presenting the different kinds of vegetables. That's one way how the different vegetables will be retained in their mind. Okay, so we are also presenting the different vegetables what is in our community. Let's say we have in your locality. Let's say if you came from Baguio, what are the different vegetables that you have in your city? If you are coming from Pangasinan, what are the different vegetables that you can see from coming that you can see in Pangasinan? If you are coming from Nueva Ecija, what are the different products in Nueva Ecija? Okay, so in the choral group, you can easily present those different kinds of vegetables, different kinds of products. Okay. So the next one is in relation to the activity, what situations or conditions in the community can the competencies be related to? What situations? So let's say, for example, if you ask in the information, so what situations or conditions in the community can competencies be related to? Okay, so you can easily in this question, you can easily present what is in your community. Let's say, for example, the information. if you have presented the different kinds of products that you have presenting through the Infomercial, then that can easily be known by our learners. Okay? And in number 2, what could be some learning resources to be used when you are presenting this? So you can use paper, you can use different pictures, or if you can ask also your learners to bring the actual product. Okay? What could be some challenges encountered in using local resources in enhancing for these competencies? In question number and letter C, that could really be a challenge if we are going to adapt in our situations right now, wherein we are still in quarantine. But hopefully in August we can do this. But since they are just at home, definitely they can easily produce. If you are presenting the different local products, they can easily come up with this kind of different resources. Okay? So, let us think. What do you know about the curriculum contextualization? What is localization? And what is indigenization? So in our preliminary activity, I have presented the different policies, the different legal basis on how we come up with the curriculum contextualization and localization. Okay, so now I am presenting to you the different bases in the K-12 Philippine Education Curriculum Framework. Okay. So in the first and in second column, we have the nature of the learner. The next is the needs of the learner, and the fourth one is the needs of the national global community. So these are the philosophical legal basis. So we have Republic Act 10523. We have the Kindergarten Act. So we have these are the different legal bases that are indicated in this column. Okay. So for the nature of the learner, of course, in our topic, it's really must for us to understand the nature of our learners, and you should also know the needs of the learners, and we have to consider the needs of the learner in presenting of our lesson. So definitely the needs of our learner should be all about life skills, self-contextualization, and preparation for the world of work in entrepreneurship and higher education. That's why in our K-12 curriculum, our battle cry is ang batang K-12 handa sa trabaho, handa sa negosyo, at handa sa kolehiyo. Because we are preparing our learners to have their life skills, life situations, and preparing them for the work, for entrepreneurship and higher education. And of course, that also answers to the needs of the nation and global community. So we have to reduce the poverty, strengthening the moral fiber of the Filipino people, development of a strong sense of nationalism, development of productive citizens who contribute to building the progressive, just, and human society, and ensuring the environmental sustainability and global partnership of development. So this is the curriculum framework of K-12. So another is we are developing our learners to develop them as the 21st century skills, and how we are going to develop our learners to become 21st century skills. And we have this skills. In skills, we are developing our learners to have these information skills, media skills, technology skills, learning and innovation skills, communication skills, life and career skills. That's why we have the soft skills. They need to acquire this in order for them that they can live in our world with full of challenges. And then learning areas. What are the different learning areas that the learners should learn in order for them to develop to become a 21st century skill? To acquire the 21st century skill. So the different learning areas, we have language, TLE, mathematics, science, and arts, and different and other learning areas that we have. Now, for the curriculum support system, in order that our learners to be developed with 21st century skills, we have the materials and facilities and equipment, ICT environment, assessment, school leadership and management, schools division technical skills, and community and partnership. Okay, so all of this needs to develop by all of this support system will help to develop Filipino with 21st century skills, because it's not enough that we are how can we develop these skills if we do not have this kind of support system? So all of this we will be needing this in order that we can develop our Filipino with 21st century skills. And most importantly, when we have this kind of program, when we are trying to develop the skills with the different learning areas, with the different support system, what is important here is we have the monitoring and evaluation, because the most programs fail because lack of monitoring and evaluation. So these are the different features of the K-12 curriculum: learner-centered, inclusive, and research-based. Okay, gone are the days that our curriculum was teacher-centered. So that's why our curriculum now in K-12 is learner-centered, inclusive, and research-based. So that's why we have madrasa, we have SPED, we have ALS, because our curriculum is inclusive, and it's in every program it should always be research based. Our curriculum is standard and competence based, seamless, and decongested. And the next features of our curriculum is we have responsive, culture sensitive, and relevant to the needs of our learners. And the next is flexible, ICT based, and global. Yeah, it's flexible. That's why how are we going to test that our curriculum is flexible? Just like what we are having now. So from the pandemic that we are experiencing right now, so our curriculum was adjusted, and our thank you to our DepEd Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones, because she is so industrious, she's so responsive to the needs of our learners. And look at what happened to our curriculum guide now. It was streamed into the most essential learning competencies. That's why you could say it's flexible. ICT based. Oh no. Before, I have seen on the Facebook na sabi pinagbabawal ang mga paggamit ng cellphone sa eskwelahan. Pero ngayon daw, ang eskwelahan ay nasa loob na ng cellphone, because the way to deliver our learning competencies is one of which is using online, using the different gadgets that are available at home. But for those who do not have the gadgets, then we can also deliver the modular. We can also do the modular teaching or delivery mode. That's why our curriculum is flexible, ICT based, and global. Okay? So these are the following policy bases in our curriculum. in the K-12 curriculum, we have the Governance of Basic Education Act 2001, or which is the Republic Act 9155. Encourage the local initiatives in improving the quality of basic educations. So local initiatives, that's why we are involving our elders in developing or improving our curriculum. The values, needs, and aspirations of the community and are reflected in the program of education. And schools and learning centers shall be empowered to make the decision of what is best for the learners as they serve. Okay. So another is the DepEd shall adhere to the following standards, principles in developing the enhanced basic education, which is the contextualized and global. So it should be contextualized and global. Okay? And here on we are still on the base in the Enhanced Basic Education Act 10533 in Section 3 and Section 5, which was also appeared in our Panimulaing Gawain, that it's in Section 5. The principal shall adhere the following standard to enhance the basic education, that it should be flexible as as I have presented before in our previous slide, that our curriculum should be flexible, should be ICT based, should be global. Now, flexible enough. So flexible enough because we need to adjust in every learner situation. In every learner situation, it's not the learners that should adjust, but also our curriculum should adjust. Okay, that's why it's very important that we should know the needs of our learners. So flexible enough to enable and allow school to localize, indigenize, and enhance the same base in the respective educational and social context. That's why for this pandemic, we have to know what are the different available, so the different available resources in their community and their home, so that we can easily adjust. We can easily adjust our curriculum. We can make our lesson localized, indigenized. Okay? So, in the policy basis, we have Governance 9155, Republic Act 10533, which highlights on the local level. This requires understanding of the local context. So the key concepts here is we have the contextualization, localization, and indigenization. So in the contextualization, we have our K-12 curriculum. The first one is to understand the particular setting. Now, how are we going to relate this in our situation right now? So, particular setting. So, our particular setting, we have this. And then the situation. What is our situation? What is our situation? And then, area of application. And, I would like to repeat on the flexibility. So, because if you are not flexible, if you do not know the particular setting of your learners or your community, you do not understand the situation, and you are trying to apply something which is no longer applicable in their area, you are not going to make your learning meaningful, relevant, and useful. And important to know the particular setting, situation, area, application is to make your learning meaningful, useful, and relevant. How we are going to do this? Your learners do not have enough resources. You are asking them to do something that they could not do because the lack of resources. They could not go out. The parents of the learners have no job, and they do not have the means to purchase the things that you are required them. And that for a teacher, the teacher should be flexible enough, okay? Should be flexible enough. The teachers need to contextualize the learning, the lesson, because you have to adapt according to the context of the situation, okay, in order that you can make your lesson meaningful, relevant, and useful. Because if it is not meaningful to the learners, then what's the use of teaching them for that particular lesson? If it is not relevant, then the learners will not find it interesting. If it is not useful, then don't teach it, because we need life skill. For this kind of situation, we need life skill in order for that skill will be useful, in order that the learners will apply that in the future. Okay? So, when we are speaking of contextualization refers to the educational process. It is a process of relating a curriculum to a particular setting. That's why in the context of learning setting, particular setting, situation, or area of application. So, area of application to make the competencies relevant, meaningful, useful, and all learnings. You know what? When we have offered before we had our senior high school, we have conducted a survey. We conducted a survey to our community. What do you think are the community? What do you think are the industries that we have in our community? What are the needs of our learners that they can apply in their community? Because it is so difficult to offer a specialization when it is not relevant to their community. When it is not relevant, it is not useful. That's why it is important to know, to understand, to map in the community, so that you can understand the particular setting, the situation, in order for the learners that it will be applied in their area. Otherwise, your lesson will not be relevant, meaningful, and useful to the learners. And we have 2 degrees of contextualization. So we have the localization and indigenization. So when we say localization, we are referring to the process of relating the context specified in the curriculum, local information, and visualize the fractions, examples, the division of harvest during the harvest session. So that is how they are going to do it in the indigenization. So another is to identify the patterns that are seen in a particular times of the year. This is in science. So for the localization, the community names the prominent stars if they have, while retaining the use of the Greek constellation and its background during this discussing the stars pattern. But in the indigenation, they discuss the community's own calendar using own calendar of patterns. Okay, because the community has its own also calendar, just like for example the let's say for example in our brothers in Aita, so they have their own calendar. Okay, in some Muslims, they also have their own calendar. Now, the major curriculum thrust of the K-12 curriculum, contextualization, localization, and indigenization are degrees of levels. Doing contextualization. When we localize, we do not necessarily indigenize. When we indigenize, we localize. Okay? So, when we localize, we do not necessarily indigenize. Let us repeat this one. Localization and indigenous are degrees. So as I have presented a while ago, we have two levels. We have 2 degrees in contextualization. That is localization and contextualization. So when you localize, it does not mean that you need to indigenize. When you indigenize, you are localized. You are localizing your lesson. Okay? Now, let me present for my last slide on this first session. Separate the text from the context, and that all remains as con. This is from Stewart Stafford. That's why we could not separate our text from the context. Otherwise, everything will just be false. Okay? Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next session. Hi there, I'm back. Welcome to the second session in the curriculum, contextualization, and localization. Do you still remember our objectives in the first session? Do you know what's the word DICE? DICE means deepen the understanding on the curriculum, contextualization, and localization. I identify the legal basis in implementing the curriculum and curriculum contextualization and localization. And letter C stands for cite the importance of curriculum contextualization and localization. And letter E, explain the process of curriculum contextualization. So that was our those were our objectives in the previous meeting. So just don't forget the word DICE, okay? DICE, deepen, identify the legal basis, cite the importance, and again, you have to explain the process of curriculum contextualization. So those were the things that we have discussed on the previous session. So for this second session in curriculum contextualization, our objectives are in the form of CAP. CAP is to contextualize, appreciate, and produce. Okay? So for contextualize the existing curriculum guide or the most essential learning competencies, which we call it now as MELC. Okay? Then appreciate the essence of contextualizing, and P, produce a contextualized lesson in the context of pandemic. So, schooling, life, relevance. Look at this slide. Schooling, life, relevance. Is schooling life? Oh yes, it's life, because we learn we may not learn everything in school, but going to school makes our life improve. We can easily communicate others, okay? Kaya nga sinasabi ng mga magulang natin na laging sinasabi, anak, mag-aral ka ng mabuti kasi wala kaming ipamamana sa inyo kundi ang edukasyon. Because with the education, if you are educated, if you have learned a lot, no one can get what you have learned. So, schooling is life. Schooling life. But to make it to bring life to schooling, the lesson should be relevance. The lesson should be relevance to our learners. And this is very important because some of our learners are not coming to school because they don't feel the lesson relevance to their life. And more importantly today, in our situation which we are having right now, the more it will become relevance. Because if you are teaching and it's not useful to them and you are not making sense to our students, then the more they are not going to attend in your class. Especially that we have a difficulty in if it is an online class, if it is a modular, if it is not relevant in their life, then they will not find it interesting. Okay? So schooling life should be relevance. Okay? Now, in curriculum and contextualization, we have this strategy which is in a form of REACT. REACT stands for we have this REACT, okay? The curricula instruction based on contextual learning strategies should be structured to encourage the 5 essentials form of learning. Okay? So R stands for relating. How does our lesson relates to the life of our students? How does our lesson relate to the life of our students? And letter E is experiencing. Do you make your learners experience of what you are teaching? If your answer is no, then you are not making sense to your learning, and your lesson is not enduring to the life of the learning. Meaning, because we believe that through experience, the more our students learn. Applying. So applying. Do you let your students apply what they have learned in school? What they have learned in school? In what way they are going to apply? When they go home, let's say for example, if you are teaching in education sa pagpapakatao, if you are teaching education sa pagpapakatao and you are teaching and you are trying to develop their values, if they go home, if they are at home, do they practice that? If not, they are not applying. They are not applying what they have learned. When for our senior high school students, you have teach everything what they need for them to live in a real situation, and you have sent them in immersion and they were not able to apply, then you are not making sense. The lesson did not make sense to our students. And then letter C is collaborating. We can also be cooperating. And then the last one, letter T, is transferring. So the most important and the most crucial in teaching is transferring. Okay? Now, let us elaborate the letter R, which is for the react. Letter R, relating. Learning in the context of life experience. So, remember, when you teach, don't forget to consider the previous experience of our learners. Remember that our learners have already a prior knowledge. And if you are going to ask them to share their experiences in their life experiences, our students become more participative and they are going to appreciate it and they are going to learn more because they can relate. They can relate what you are teaching to them. Okay? So with the adult learners, however, providing a meaningful context for learning becomes more difficult. Why is it so? Why it becomes more difficult when our adult learners are more experienced? Because some of our adults could hardly accept for the new knowledge that you are trying to impart to them. When you are in school, even though you are already you have learned enough, when you are attending training, you have to practice the learn, unlearn. You have learned, unlearn. You have to take off whatever you have learned, so that you can have your you can empty your vessels, and then you have to relearn. And probably this is what we are trying here. Okay, the curriculum that attempts to place the learning in the context of life experience must first call the students' attentions in the first sites, events, and conditions. It must then relate those everyday situations to information to be observed and to be observed or a problem to be solved. And then in relating, how are we going to make our students share their experience? How are they going to relate in our lesson? If your topic in Filipino is making a saranggola, or you're presenting a saranggola, then how are you going to relate? Maybe you can ask our learners, nakagawa ka na ba ng saranggola kasama ang iyong tatay? Or kasama ang iyong kapatid? Or maaaring sabihin mo, kung wala naman, baka naman masaktan lang din yung bata. Remember, when you are teaching, you should also be careful of the feelings of your learners. That's why it is very important to know who your learners are. What are the experiences of your learners? Maybe in your topic, you might just hurt your students. That's why you should have to be careful. If kung wala namang tatay yung student, maybe you can say, maybe you know that some of your students or one of your students do not have a father. Pwede sabihin mo na sino ang nakasama, kung nakagawa ka na ba ng saranggola na may kasama ka, then you can let your students start sharing from that matter, okay? So when you are teaching in economics, maybe let's say your topic is all about kakapusan, then how you relate your students in that topic. Pwede mong, ano ang iyong kakapusan na naranasan sa buhay sa panahon ng COVID, or even in not COVID, may naranasan mo na bang kapusin ka? Kapusin in such a budget, damit, or anything that you will have a shortage. So you should have to open this. You should have to explain this well so that your students can relate on your topic and that they find it more interesting. So in TLE, it can also be applied here in cookery, in agriculture. Let's say gulayan sa paaralan. Wala tayo sa paaralan because again, you have to apply the context and the context of situations of our learners. Nasa bahay sila, so gulayan sa bakuran. Now in gulayan sa bakuran, you can say sa panahon ng COVID-19, ano ang mga ginamit mong pansahog na nanggaling sa iyong bakuran, o anong ginamit mo, paano mo niluto ang mga binigay sa iyo ng ayuda gamit din ng pansangkap ng iyong mga gulay o kasangkapan na nasa iyong mga bakuran. So what we are referring ko yun dun sa pagluluto, okay? So in that way you are already contextualizing your lesson, and in your contextualization you are allowing your learners to relate on your lesson. Again, when your students can relate on your lesson, the more they become the more they find it interesting, okay? And then experiencing, we are again referring to the explorations of our learners. So in experiencing, in the context of learning, we refer to exploration, discovery, invention, and is the heart of the contextual learning. Invention is the heart of the contextual learning because in constructivism theory, we allow our learners to create their own meaning. We allow our learners to invent, to discover, to explore. Gone are the days that we make our students feed gamit ang kutsara, yung spoon feeding, okay? We are not doing that anymore because we know that our learners are very much creative. That's why we have to consider their experience. However motivated or tuned in students may become as a result of other instructional strategies such as video, narrative, or text-based activities, these remain relatively passive forms of learning. So what you are going to do in order not to make them passive is make them active, right? So learning appears to take far more quickly when students are able to manipulate equipment and material to do the form of active and research. Now, our students are just at home. Remember, at this moment, on August 24, if our situations is not yet okay, we are not allowed to conduct face-to-face, and our students are just staying at home. Now, how are you going to let your students experience? How are you going to let your students manipulate the equipment and material and make them active in learning? Then think about it. So I believe that all our teachers are very much creative, okay? So don't be sad that they are at home. How are they going to manipulate? There are several ways how they are going to do the practicum, to do, let's say for example, if you are teaching in baking and your students do not have an oven at home. So if they do not have an oven at home, then what are you going to do? So think about it. How are you going to make a cake without baking? So find it, and you have to teach it to your students in order that they can experience it, in order that they will not be
They will not be frustrated because they do not have this kind of equipment. They do not have this kind of tools. Okay, so make them creative. Okay, make them discover something despite that we have lack of resources. Okay, so in experiencing, let's say for example in science, fermentation. Fermentation if you are in Baguio, strawberry wine to make I guess it's tapoy. Okay, now that is it. What if your learners do not have strawberry? Do not have and strawberry, it's not in season. Okay, they cannot buy. Now, if your topic is simply to ferment, then if you are located in Bacolod, we got a lot of sugar cane in Bacolod. Then why not use the sugar cane to ferment? Okay, so for the fermentation, if you are in Visaya, in Visaya Island, if you are in Bicol, then there are lots of coconut tree. There are lots of coconut tree that they can make use of fermentation also. Now, you can ask your learners to ferment the buko juice, or since you are talking of wine, you let your students experience in making wine, then how about the coconut extract? Let's say for example, there is part, I guess dun sa puno ng nyug, dun sa taas, may kinakat sila in order that there will be an extraction, and that extraction will be used in fermentation that will be produced as wine. So you have to think of different ways. Just if you are just talking of fermentation, there are a lot of available resources that you can ferment. Do not just stick on a strawberry. Okay, do not just stick on a strawberry wherein you can ferment. Again, be resourceful. Know what are the availability of local resources in your community. Okay, so we have this economics. The topic is pamilihan ng sambayanan. And then the students goes to Baguio public market and SM compare the prices in agricultural products. The example is you are in Baguio, and what if you are in Pangasinan? You are in Bani Pangasinan. The students went to Bani Pangasinan to buy or something. You have to use. You have to localize. Okay, you can change the word. You can rename the word in your local situation. That is that way. Also, can our students relate your topic, and they can also express their experience in this topic. Okay. Now, agricultural products. If the students are not allowed to go to markets since that they are below 21, then why not compare? Why not allow them to compare on online market? Okay, on online market. Now, what's the difference when you are going to buy online market, or simply just let your students recall when they were buying in the supermarket and in the public market? What's the difference? How much price is the difference? Okay, so that we can have your comparison again using the experience of your learning, using the experience of your learner. Okay, applying the concepts of information in useful context. Often projects to students imagine future or a possible career or into a unfamiliar location or a workplace. Now, applying. Now, for our senior students, I have mentioned before, senior high school students, the only way for them to apply what they have learned, if they are already capable to work in the industries, is to have for them an immersion. Now, in these days, we do not have, our students will not be allowed to go for immersion, to do some to visit some industries for an immersion, because that might just we are just putting in danger the health of our learners. And remember, the top priority of our DepEd education and everybody here in the Philippines is our top priority is health, and we could not allow that. Now you can contextualize, think about it, what could be the other ways in order for our learners still that they could have apply their skills aside from going to partner industries. Okay. And I would like you to know that our leaders in education department are also doing something for our curriculum in work immersion. Okay. So the next one is cooperating. Cooperating learning in the context of sharing, responding, and communicating with other learners. A primary instructional strategy in contextual teaching. The experience of cooperating not only helps for most learners learn the materials, it's also consistent in the real world focus on contextualized learners. Now, you know what? Just the word, we know the word cooperate. You have to extend your hand to others. Okay. Now, we are not just developing the learners to become their social skills, but we are also trying to develop our learners in cooperating to develop their communication skills, because they try to communicate with their classmates. But in our situation right now, how are we going to apply cooperating? Lucky for those students who have their gadgets, they have their online, they can learn through online, because you can ask them, you can pair your students, those who have a good connection, you can pair your students in order that they can collaborate, that they can cooperate and share with their ideas. Remember, we believe that two heads are better than one. Okay, so again, letter R is relating, letter E experiencing, letter A applying, and letter C cooperating, and letter T is transferring. Transferring. Learning in the context of existing knowledge or transferring uses and builds upon the learner's has already learned. Such as approach is like relating. Students develop confidence in their problem-solving abilities if we make a point of building new learning experiences on what they already know. Now, as I have said before, transferring is the most crucial part of learning. Why? Because if we could, sometimes we could not see our students, how are they going to transfer the knowledge and skills that we have taught to them. Okay, so and we can also say that our learners were able to acquire the knowledge that the knowledge and skills and attitude. We remember the KSA in our K-12 framework, the KSA knowledge, skills, and attitude. We are developing all those three to our students. Now, in to transfer them, that we need that in our teaching, so that when they go out to school, when they go for work, then they have something to share. Okay, they have something to share wherever they are going to work. Transferring, this we are referring to their skills and knowledge, okay, to their attitude. Okay, so most importantly, we are developing our students in their attitude. According to CEO, sabi nila, we hire not for the skills but for the attitude. Okay, now how do you feel when you see some of your students asking your hand for mano po? right? How do you even you are no longer his or her teacher, still your students respect at you because of the values that you have taught to your learners. Okay, how do you feel that your students, wherever you are and your students see you, they make a vow, okay? They make a vow. That is a sign of respect, and that means a lot to us, meaning we were able to transfer the values. And how do you feel as a teacher that some of your students are good in teaching? That is because they were able to capture the learners. How do you feel as a teacher when you see some students, they are excelling in cookery? Okay, because they were able to transfer the knowledge. We were able to transfer their knowledge. And as a teacher, this is what we are going to do. It's not that they are good in school, but then they are good in everywhere they go. That's why the learning should be enduring. It lasts forever until they leave. They can easily solve problem. When they encounter problem, our learners can easily solve problems. Okay, they don't need to look for a book. They don't need to ask for help from their parents, but they themselves can easily solve their problems, and they can help also to solve the social problems that we have nowadays. Okay, that is all about transferring. And now, again, so in React strategies, when we are trying to contextualize and localize our curriculum, don't forget again the React. Okay, don't forget again the React. R for relating, E experiencing, A applying, and letter C is cooperating, and letter T is transferring. And now we are on the contextualization process. So contextualization process, number 1 is immersion, dialogue, and community engagement mechanism with communities for purpose of contextualization education. Okay, so number 1 is immersion. You need to immerse in the communities. Okay, you cannot, it's so hard to contextualize your lesson when you are even in the curriculum, when you are not immersed with the community. Okay, and for you to be immersed in the community, you have to collaborate with leaders. Who are this? We are referring to our elders. They are the leaders in the community where you are going to immerse. So you need to immerse in order for you to thoroughly understand the situations, the practices, the cultures in the particular place. Okay, and that you can be effective teacher. Now you know what? An effective teacher can easily immerse. An effective teacher knows very well the culture of their learners. Okay, that is just one characteristics of an effective teachers. And then on letter C is formulation of cultural standards, and that you can start formulating the cultural standards if you have known enough the culture of your learners or the culture of that community. So we're still on the contextualization process. So establish a dialogue with the community engagement mechanism with the community's purposes and for the purposes of contextualization. In respect to our elders, you could not do that. You just go there for immerse, but you have to explain to the elders what is your purpose there. What is your purpose there in staying in that locality, and that the elders can also help you to contextualize for education. And then you have to analyze the situation leading to community vision, mission, and goals for education. And you have to we have to contextualize the curriculum framework formulation with the LRMDS, the Learning Resource Management Development System, in the SIP. For those who are not familiar, for those new teachers, SIP stands for School Improvement Plan. The DP, Division Education Development Plan, and our EDP, this is for the Region Development Plan. Okay, so you have to coordinate also with the LRMDS. Okay, so when you are contextualizing, you also have to involve this in your ESIP, the EDP, and REDP when you are in the region. Okay, so research for contextualized and LR development community led DepEd led. So when you are contextualizing, you are not doing contextualizing. We are already talking of you are not just contextualizing on a particular lesson, but we are already contextualizing the school curriculum. Okay, now contextualizing, so you don't do it alone, but you need it should be community led and DepEd led. Okay, so what you are going to do, curriculum contextualization, is you have letter curriculum, you start with the curriculum, and then your teaching and learning process, and LR development, and then letter D is classroom assessment. And for this, you need to quality assured of the contextualized curricula learning resource. Example, your lesson plans, TGs, and LMs. I have once attended in curriculum contextualization in our because I am coming from Angeles City, we have also an iPad in Angeles City, which is located in Setio Target Integrated School. So I have experience in curriculum contextualization that will be suited to the culture of our ITA. So we were also immersed. There. We go back there in order for us to know the culture. We invite the elders, and we do the right shop, and then after this the finished product of the right shop, these were contextualized, which the finished products are the lesson plans, the teaching guide, and the learning materials were contextualized by the LRMDS. I mean, we're quality assured by the LRMDS. Now, so this is the process. The LRMDS process steps. Okay? LRMDS, the Learning Resource Management Development System, process steps. So first, assess the learning resource needs. So assessment, in everything that we do, there is always an assessment. That is our basis in planning the result of the assessment. Okay, so assessment of the learning resource needs. What are the needs of the learners? You just don't contextualize without a research without a basis. Okay, again, as I have said, in the K-12 curriculum, in every program, it should always be research based. Okay, so you should have to assess. Okay, so the result of your assessment will be the basis for planning. Step is acquiring, developing the LR, and producing the LR. So you have to acquire all the materials. You have to develop by inviting the elders, by inviting the experts, the teachers, ITAs, the teacher ITAs, or the elders, and then you also have to invite the experts of the learning areas, and then you have to produce the learning resource. Then contextualize the learning resource. So you are now going to contextualize according to the context of the learners, according to the context of the situations. Okay, so and after contextualization, you let the material, you let the learning resource to be quality assured. to be quality assured, okay? And then after quality assurance, you have to catalog the quality assurance of LR. And then afterwards, you have to publish the quality assurance and catalog LR. And after publishing this material, this learning resource, and then that could be the time that you are going to advocate the use of this material in the LR portal, because you could not just simply post or advocate materials without passing through the quality assurance. In quality assurance, from the word itself, assurance, from there, you can assure that the materials is relevant to the needs of the learners. This prevent from having errors on the materials, because it's so difficult. It's not good to produce or to publish a materials with has an error. Okay, so kaya nga we need to quality assured of the materials. So that is, you publish in the LR portal, and you have to advocate in order that other teachers and the learners will use the learning resource that was quality assured, that was contextualized and quality assured by the LRMDS and the experts. And then finally, you have the monitoring and evaluation of the LRMDS. So again, as I have said, at the start, you have to do a research, because in every program, it is a research base, should be a research base. You have the basis why you are trying to implement this program. And at the end of the program, after planning, after doing this, the end of this is monitoring and evaluation of the LRMDS. How this material, how this contextualized LR was able to help to our learners, was able to help to our teachers. Okay, so you have to monitor and evaluate, and that if these learner materials are no longer relevant or the needs, that could be the time that you are going to have another plan and produce that we need. Like for example, before we are using the K-12, we have our curriculum guide. You have our curriculum guide, and because of the situation that we have now, our leaders were able to come up with the milk, because if we will be using the curriculum guide that was provided to us in the 2016, and we have the situation right now wherein there is no face-to-face teaching to our learners, then our leaders were able to come up with the MELCs, the most essential learning competencies that make relevance to our situation right now. If they did not do it, I guess they will not be making sense, or that could not be practical, because we got too much competencies that may not be relevant in this situation. Example, from the English, there are several competencies that were removed from the curriculum guide. Okay, so we have to adapt, we have to abreast, we have to update, we always have to be responsive in everything that we do. Remember that our clients are our students, and that to our clients, we always have to satisfy them in order that they will buy for us. They will still believe in us. We are still making sense to our learners. Okay? The next one is the support system for the contextualized curriculum school level. So again, development, education planning, which can be included in the SIP, DEDP, REDP, and REDP. Sorry. And then afterwards, we have the capacity development. So we have to develop, we have to explain to our elders why we are doing this, or to your teachers if you are just going to localize you are just going to localize or contextualize your lesson, then you can just invite the teachers, okay, if it is just within the school. And then context appropriate supervision. So there is a need for somebody to supervise your work so that there is a consistency of your work, okay? And then contextualize school governance, and then make a policy to guide the contextualization and involve the LRMDS, and finally again we have the monitoring and evaluation. Okay, so this is for the contextualized curriculum in the school level. And I'm going to present to you now the contextualized matrix. Okay, so you listen, everyone. So contextualized matrix. So we have the first column, it is a grade level. Second column is a theme. Third is we have the curriculum guide code, or milk code, because in milk we still have code. Okay, and then the national competencies, and the next column is contextualized competencies, contextualized strategies, and contextualized assessment. Remember, you might ask, we are in pandemic, are we still going to do that? Yes, the more you need to do this, because you need to contextualize your lesson, because you want to become responsive to your learners. If you are not going to contextualize and you are teaching just based on the milk or in the curriculum guide, and some of your learners do not have these materials, then you can contextualize. You can contextualize based on the needs of your learners. Okay, so it is very important to include this in your report when you are contextualizing. At least your principal or anybody in the higher ups will appreciate of what you have done, making you have the heart. You answer the needs for your learners. You have the heart for your learners. You are making sense to your learners. So it is very important for a teacher that you really have to care your learners. Do something good for your learners. Okay? So for this first column, we are the grade level. Okay? The kinder. And then the theme is Tiwala sa Sarili. And the code is this, KPSE 1E5. Okay? So probably you just can just replace this one, because some of the learning competencies also were removed in kinder. Okay, so for the national competencies, na ipapakita ang tiwala sa sarili, sa tugunan ng sariling pangangailangan ng mag-isa. Okay? Now, for the contextualized competencies, we have paggamit ng maayos ng kagamitan, pagkain tulad ng baso, kutsara, tinidor, at pinggan. Now, when you contextualize your competencies, definitely you have to contextualize your strategies. Now, if you are, let's say, if you are teaching simulation game during eating blocks time, you say 18 time blocks. You do not have your student with you. We are on pandemic. How are you going to teach this? How are you going to teach this to your students? Maybe you can ask the parents, okay? We really need the assistance of our parents in order to make the learning happen. Okay, in order to make the learning happen, this time we really need the assistance of the parents, especially for the grade level who could not do their work independently. Now, for the kinder teachers, for the elementary teachers, this is really, the situation is really a challenge to us. But then, don't give up. Don't give up. We always have ways how we are going to reach our students, how we are going to deliver the lessons to our learners. So, simulation. Maybe you can ask your students to take pictures and if they are kinder, and knowing that they have also their spoons, fork at home, then ask the parents' assistance for them to do this, okay, using the different utensils, okay. So if you have contextualized the strategy, definitely you also need to contextualize the assessment. Now, how are you going to make an assessment of this? Now, for the normal, in the old normal, ipapakita na may isang paggamit ng kagamitan ng pagkain. Now, how can you assure in school you can have an assessment of this? But how about in our present situation? So, again, you may ask picture from your parents. You may ask picture from their parents, from the parents of the learners, if the students were able to do this, to use this utensils independently. Okay. Now, you might have doubt. You might have doubt in the assessment of our learners, that you might think that they are not the one who are doing the assessment. Okay, so as parents, we are all parents. If you are going to cheat, if you are going to cheat, if you are the one doing the assessment of your learners, then we are not helping to our children. We are not helping to our students. Okay, so I guess we are all parents. As parent, you can assess, but not everything, all the assessments will be done by the parent. Help our students to become independent. Okay, but as a teacher, we have to trust our parents. We have to trust also our students. Okay, so don't make any doubt. Okay, we need trust to each and everyone. Okay, so for the plants, this one, plants, and we can do this. Okay, we can do this because I know at home they have a garden, or they can simply plant in a small container. Okay, so naipapakita ang pagtulong ng pangangalaga ng kapaligiran, pagpapakita ng wastong pag-aalaga ng tanim ng garden, simulation in the garden, pag-aaral sa pag-aalaga ng halaman ng tahanan, and then pagsasagawa ng paligid, paglilinis ng halaman during the work period. Okay, now maybe it's not maybe, the parent now, given the instruction, the parent now will provide assistance to the children, to his or her son or daughter, to do this activity, because we could not let the kinder do this alone, doing pag-aalaga ng halaman, pagtatanim. Remember, again, our top priority is our health. Okay, so in grade 1 food delicacies, pagkikilala sa sarili. Now, pagpapakilala sa mga produktong pagkain na paggawa na sa pamayanan. Okay? Now, pagdala ng mga kakayanin sa pagpapakita ng pamayanan at kilalanin. Let's say, bukayo, pinasugbo, suman, puto, bitso-bitso. Then, pagtapatin ang mga larawan ng kakanin. Okay? Now, this example in contextualization is suited for the old normal. How about in our new normal? How are you going to do that? Okay? And then, so if this is your lesson, having the different kinds of delicacies, maybe you can ask your children, you can ask your student what are the different delicacies in their locality. Okay, again, we will be needing again assistance from our parents. Okay, assistance from our parents, or simply if you are just having a module, then you can include it in your module, the different delicacies, and then in your activity, just simply pwedeng you can still pagtatapatin ang mga larawan. Okay, but again, this will be a challenge for us teachers, and we can all kaya the parents really play a great part in developing our students, in helping our students to learn. Okay, so this is for the grade 1. And then local heroes, we have ang aking kwento. Natutukoy ang mga mahalagang pangyayari sa buhay ni Graciano Lopez Heina. Pagbasa ng talambuhay ni Graciano Lopez, pag-aayos ng pangyayari sa buhay ni Graciano Lopez Heina, letter A, pag-aaral ng seminary sa San Vicente, namatay sa sakit na TB, sumulat ng La Solidaridad, letter D, pumunta sa Madrid, Spain, letter E, ipinanganak sa Haro, Iloilo. Now, in this, Graciano Lopez Heina, when we are going to contextualize this, if you are in other, let's say you are in Pampanga, who can be your hero. You can be your hero, and the students can relate. Okay, so let's say for example we have Abad Santos. If you are in Calamba, Laguna, you have Jose Rizal. Okay, so that is how we are going to contextualize the lesson. You localize, look at on the if you have hero in your locality, then go first on the hero of your locality. Whoever the hero in your locality, then you have to start first with the hero in your locality. So, hindi yung agad-agad si Jose Rizal. Pwede naman because Jose Rizal is very much well known to us. But then, to localize, we are referring of localized, okay? So, we have to start first, you have to appreciate first who are the hero in your locality. Okay? And then, festivals for the grade 2, excuse me. Festivals for the grade 2 lesson, at din inailalarawan ng iba't ibang okasyon sa pagdiriwang ng pamayanan. Okay? Nailalarawan ang Dinagyang Festival sa lungsod ng Iloilo. Film showing tungkol sa pagdiriwang ng Dinagyang Festival. Pagsasayaw ng iba't ibang kumpas ng Dinagyang. Okay. This is again in Iloilo. What if you are in Cebu City? What if you are in Cebu City? Now, what could be the festivals that are celebrated in Cebu? Okay? So, you can localize. If you are in Pampanga, what are the festivals that we have in Pampanga? Okay? If you are in Pangasinan, what are the festivals that you have in your Pangasinan? That you have in Pangasinan, okay? So you have to start localizing. You are not in Iloilo, you are not in a place you are not in Iloilo, but you are trying to teach in Iloilo, okay? So you have to start in order for your students to relate, in order for your students to appreciate your lesson. You have to start in your locality. And that is what we are saying in the contextualization and localization. Okay? So, festival, assuming the festival, that is Dinagyang. So, we have Saulog Festival in Cebu. Okay? So, we have so much festivals. Okay? So, you have to start it within your locality. The next one is, the next topic here is landmark. Okay. Landmark. Naiugnay ang sagisag ng pagtatanging ekstruktura bantayog ng mga bayani at mga mahalagang bagay ng matatagpuan sa komunidad ng kasaysayan nito. Then inuugnay ang Pedro sa Plaza Libertad Bell Tower ng lungsod Iloilo ng kasaysayan nito. Okay? Storytelling tungkol sa kasaysayan na natatanging lugar. And then for the contextual assessment is pagpapakita ng iba't ibang struktura ng bantay na makikita sa lungsod ng Iloilo. Again, let us contextualize this. Okay? Let us contextualize this one. Now, anything that is you have a landmark in your locality. What could be the landmark? Okay? Anong meron kayong landmark sa iyong locality? You are going to start from that. Okay? So, hindi agad, hindi naman nila alam ang Iloilo. Sino si Fort Pedro? Where can you find the Plaza Libertad at Bell Tower? They do not know it. How about here? Ayavinahala City. Saan yung magdaling makitang landmark? Okay? So, halimbawa, landmark doon, we have this structure doon sa Bayanihan Park. Ano yung mga landmark sa isang lugar? And that is, the students can easily relate, can easily express their ideas on the particular landmark. And when you contextualize the competencies, you have to contextualize the strategies, and you have to contextualize the assessment. Okay? So, for the grade 3, we have the musika. I'm just showing the different examples of contextualized lesson. Okay. Again, I introduced the different parts. Now, it is very important, and we are hoping for the new normal, and we are hoping for the new normal comes next March during the SBM. We need again to document, we need again to present the different documents, and that we have to keep this during the new normal, during the pandemic. What are the different topics that you have contextualized? So, you have something, you have the document to present it to your leaders, to your teacher, to the principals, to share with your teachers, to show it with the supervisors, and so on. Okay? So, the musika, natatakay ang kahulugan ng official hymn at ibang sining na ipapakilala sa sariling lalawigan ng rehiyon. So, natatakay ang kahulugan ng awit ng Dar Kabansa sa Iloilo, pagsabayang pag-awit ng tulong ng video, isang pag-awit ng Iloilo City Hymn. So, that is in Iloilo City Hymn. What if you are in Baguio City? What if you are in San Fernando City? Ano yung hymn ng rehiyon? So, you have to localize your lesson. Hindi kung ano yung nakasulat sa curriculum guide, and it is not relevant. It is not relevance in your locality. And that is the time that you are going to contextualize and localize your lesson. Okay? So, next, we have the tradisyon. Ito, tradisyon. In grade 5, pagsusuri, pagpapakilala ng gawaing panlipunan sa sinumang Pilipino sa kasalukuyan. Nailalahad ang kaibahan ng gawaing palipunan sa mga sinaunang Ilonggo. Okay? So, again, everything that we have here is all about Ilonggo, or it may in theme. It's all about in Ilonggo. That's why if you are in Cebu, if you are in Leyte, or wherever you are, it's a time for you to contextualize your lesson. So make your lesson relevant to our learners. Okay? So that's the reason why we are contextualizing our lesson, so that we are making sense to our learners. We are being responsive to the needs of our learners. Remember, we can only get the interest of our learners when our lesson is responsive to the needs of our learners, when we are making sense for them. Okay? And again, these are the different samples. I'm showing to you the different samples of the contextualized lesson. And you have to use this matrix so that when you, at the end of this school year, you have something to present. You, even if it's not in a school year, this is just for your documentation, so that when you always have something reference, we have something to go back, okay? So that ito yung ginamit kong localization. ito yung ginamit kong localization. Maybe I could still apply this. If not, then you have to change. Remember, there's nothing permanent in this world except change. Okay? So, now, again, this is still the contextualized matrix. Okay? I'm showing it to you. And I hope that you can do this. And this is one of our objectives for you to contextualize, for you to produce your own contextualized lesson. Okay. Now, for the milk, this is our the parts of the milk. We have the quarter, so whatever quarter it will be taught. Again, we all know what is content standards because still in our curriculum guide, performance standard, and then the most essential learning competencies and number of weeks that this will be taught. So yan yung mga pinakikita. Halimbawa, this is in I guess this is in TLE. Explain the basic we have this. Explain the basic concepts of aquaculture. Explains the definition of history, importance. Aquaculture explains the basic morphology of the fish. Now, it is suggested in a milk in the most learning competencies aquaculture. If you are in a place na wala namang kayong you could not produce fish, you could not adapt this one. So what are you going to do? You do not have a fish pond. Okay, do you think you can apply this aquaculture? Yes, you could still apply. Even in a basin, even in any kind of container, you just have to teach. It's not necessary that your students will be producing fish. Okay, will be producing fish. Ibig sabihin, what I mean is that they know. But if you think, if it is for already specialization, and you are not capable, your school is not capable to offer the aquaculture, then do not offer it. Okay, then do not offer it. Now, so we have this analyzes the problems. Again, I'm just this is in the entrepreneurship. So analyzes the problems and the needs of community where there are business opportunities. There is business opportunities. So definitely this kind of topic we could still do this in our class, even if we are already in the new normal, knowing that our knowing that our children are living in their community, and that we are expecting that they also know what are the different business opportunities in their community. Now, as a teacher, you should also know what are the different business community in your students area. Otherwise, your students might mention some of the business opportunities, but it's not in their locality. So as a teacher, again, it is important that you should know the locality of your students. Okay? Now, for the group task, this could not be a group task. We will be needing to submit this. Part of it is you are going to write a sample of contextualized matrix or competencies. Grouping is no longer available, is no longer applicable because you might not know each other because we are just attending for this webinar, and you might just be an individual, so you can do this. I'm sure that you can do this. You have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to do this. Okay, but for you to face other activities in 1 hour, you can finish this. Okay, just a sample. So just make 5 samples of a contextualized matrix competencies. You choose at least 5 learning competencies that you can choose. It's either if you are teaching in TLE and you are looking for the milk, specialization, and it is not in the milk, it does not mean to say that you are not going to offer it anymore, because as it is said in the milk, some of the specialization in the TLE were not included in the milk, because the competencies in the milk are already in the TLE, in the curriculum guide, are already essential. They are the most learning essential, and it is also anchored in the TESDA, which is training regulatory based. Okay, so you can still use your curriculum guide. And for those let's say for example in science, math, then you have to use your milk. Okay, you have to use your milk, and it is already published on it is already posted in the learning learning resource portal. So all you need to do is to go for the DepEd portal and look for the milk, and that you can select some of your learning competencies that you are going to do for your writing in sample of contextualized matrix, following the matrix that I have shown while ago. Okay, now for the that is for the application. This is an individual work. You have to submit this to our training team. We are expecting this to submit. Okay, otherwise you will not be given a certificate for this. Okay, so this is the application, and this is already the transfer. We have to walk our talk. Okay, this is already the transfer of ideas. So you have to write your own contextualized lesson. Okay, now let us wrap up. Localization content. Localization meaning we are referring to local information, local materials. So again, for a teacher, it is a must that you should know your locality, that you should know the different resources in your locality. You should make use of the information in your locality in order for you to in order for your lesson to be relevant, to be responsive to the needs of our learners. In indigenization, we have the curriculum framework, curriculum design, curriculum standard, learning resources, learning teaching process, and assessment. And this, we use the biographical, historical, and socio-cultural. Okay? So the principles and standard in designing the K-12 curriculum, the curriculum design of subject and learning standard. So we are a group of instruction strategies. We have the competencies, teaching learning process, learning environment, and learning resources. So to summarize, we are guided by the principles of being learner-centered, inclusive, and recognizing diversity. Remember, our curriculum now is learner-centered. So we are after the benefits of our learner, the welfare of our learners. So kapag we are always doing for the welfare of our learners, is inclusive because we are culture sensitive. Our curriculum is culture sensitive. That's why we have SPED, we have the madrasa education program, we have the ALS, we have the sports, because we all embrace the different kinds of learners that we have in our curriculum, in our education, and recognizing the diversity of our learners. And we have to recognize, we know, from the very beginning, from the time you have embraced the education, you have to accept that every individual is unique. That's why we use the different multiple intelligence, the differentiated instruction, in order for us to answer, to provide, to access, to give the needs of our learners, knowing that we have a diversity of learners. And diversity of curricula are aligned to the nationwide by the principles and standards of the K-12 curriculum. The extent of contextualizing depends on factors, example, familiarity of a teacher with the community. Again, you have to be familiar with with your community in order that you can relate with your students, and you are always and you make yourselves relevant and responsive. And the background of your learners, it is very important to know the background of your learners so that you understand more of your learners. You know how you are going to put yourself in the shoe of your learners. You also have to understand, to familiarize the setting, the situation of your community, and that you will become an effective teacher, and you will become a teacher equipped with the 21st century skills. And this, let me give you this, my last slide. According to our DepEd Secretary Leonor Magtalis Briones, in response of the COVID-19, education cannot wait. Children cannot wait. We need to find ways for learning to continue. That's why you are here, because this is already one way in order to find ways to continue learning, in order to find ways to make ourselves responsive to the needs of our learners. Okay? So, thank you so much and God bless. Huwag kalimutan mag-submit ng iyong activity. So, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.